Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Red Writer, and we're going to be doing a little something. We're going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of doing this week movie review like I have been doing for the past couple of years, I decided that I was going to take the liberty to do some other kind of a review. This time, I'm going to lean towards a wrestling review. It's still gonna have the nostalgia figure to it. Make no mistakes about it. I just like to try to experiment and try to do different things, to sort of, you know, show that I have great versatility when it comes to critiquing other avenues in the field of media or any other unusual facts that deserve to be evaluated. Because in this world we live in, everything and everyone deserves to be evaluated. Could be good, could be bad. But in the end, when it comes out down to it, whether I give a good mark or a bad mark, I just want to let you know no one is inferior and no one is insignificant. We're all created equally, but still, evaluation is non optional. So away we go. I'm going to be doing a wrestling review this week, and we're going to be taking a look back at the 2010 Ring of Honor pay per view called Final Battle. Okay, now, Ring of Honor's Final Battle was live at the Grand Ballroom in New York City, and doing uh, the play-by-play was done by Kevin Kelly, who is not bad. Okay, he's no Jim Ross or Gordon Soley or Gorilla Monsoon or Mauro Ranallo, but he does everything he can to keep the matches going and to give an in-depth play-by-play of the moves he's doing. However, though, I think the red herring behind the announce team is Dave Prazak, who is just horrible. I mean, if he wants to be a heel commentator, at least say something that fascinates us, instead of just being stoic and expressionless. Because let's face it, whether you're a face commentator or a heel commentator, at least show some emotions. We don't want no monotone Kristen Stewart voiced commentating. We want good in depth commentating for us to have to keep the matches going. We need some kind of heel heat to generate the fans who are like at home listening. I will say that the color commentating on the DVD kind of was very iffy. It had a good beginning, but then it just sort of faded out. But when you think about a pay per view like Ring of Honor's Final Battle, you don't really care too much about the commentating or the play by play. You want to get down to the matches. Well, if it's the matches you want to get down to, well, then the matches you're going to get down to, and we're going to get down to them right now. So, uh, let's see. Well, this was actually the time when Delirious was doing the booking, and this was, of course, eventually before Jim Cornette stepped up to the plate. Jim Cornette eventually would go on to do the booking for Ring of Honor, but that would be like at a much later time. So wait, here we go with the matches. We're gonna start things off with a tag team match between the All Night Express versus Future Shock, which consists of the team of Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Now, this was, of course, the early days of when uh, Future Shock were a Ring of Honor team, and at the time when the All Night Express, they bring out ladies with selective clothing that may not appease well to the PG world, but hey, what can you say? This was just the early days of the All Night Express, bringing in scantily clad women to the ring, and this was also during a time when they weren't going promotion hopping. They pretty much were like a one area promotion, one area tag team, and they didn't jump from one promotion to another like a lot of the indie stars do, or people who wrestle in smaller tier promotions outside the WWE bubble. Okay, and I must have to say something here too. Rhett Titus actually looked thinner at the time. Rhett and Kyle eventually start off, and all the symbolic strikes. O'Reilly kicks things off, all his symbolic moves that he's famous for. The All Night Express catches Kyle on a plancha, but Cole takes care of them with a well executed suicide dive. Great double splash as O'Reilly gets only a 2 count. O'Reilly then plants and somewhat awkwardly placed a double dragon screw. Okay, Cole then eventually executes an amazing slingshot DDT on the ring apron. Holy hell, it was really well executed. O'Reilly lands a missile dropkick outside. Cole was just inches away from victory by Vice crossbody. Then a suplex done by Kenny King only gets a 2 count capture suplex. O'Reilly gets a rolling lariat and gets a 2 count. And then Rhett then bounces a backdrop and a blockbuster power bomb for the win. Great opening match, 7 out of 10. Nice opening match, especially from Future Shock. This match truly signifies how very talented a competitor Adam Cole is, and O'Reilly just nailed it with his moves. This is the way how a pay-per-view should always begin. The opening match should not necessarily be match of the night, but if you want to get a good opening match to kick things off, you have to do it right. Because then if the crowd is not enthusiastic with the opening match, then they're just gonna like fade in their seats and get bored. So you have to have that opening match to get the crowd going. No, never mind like what happens in the main event or the second to the last match, and not to say that the main event should mean something. The main event definitely should mean something, but it's the opening match. That's the working person's match to get the crowd going, to get the party started, and to just keep the fans intrigued the whole way through. This is how you start a pay-per-view. A lot of great execution from the All Night Express. Excellent fightings from both Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Definitely to get the crowds going. Adam Cole, he's a terrific athlete. Kyle O'Reilly, he nailed it tonight. Even though, this was a great tag team match. I got to give praise to from both tag team competitors. If I was to give that score out of 10, it's a 7 out of 10 for sure. Next up, we have a one-on-one match between TJ Perkins versus Colt Cabana. As you all know, TJ Perkins is, of course, part of the WWE roster. He's part of the Cruiserweight division. I, for one, gotta say that I am not a huge fan of TJ Perkins. I think he is very overrated. I can't stand his ring entrance with that stupid 80s NES music background. It's corny, it's cheesy, and I just never really quite dug him so far. I've actually been impressed by some of the other great competitors in the Cruiserweight division, especially veteran players like Brian Kendrick or the Brian Kendrick. I like the dynamic, colorful personality of Rich Swann. Um, I also like the performances from Noam Dar, and there are a lot of great, exciting cruiserweights out there. I just don't think T.J. Perkins fits that level that has gotten my interest. And again, it's just my opinion. If you have a different opinion, you are all entitled to it. To each their own. Let's see. His opponent was against Colt Cabana. So after a long sabbatical, T.J. Perkins really showed that he had a bit of ring rust coming into this match. Colt Cabana had just an impressive showing with El Generico against Kevin Steen and Steve Corino a while ago. So I expected that this would be kind of a downer of a match after the very exciting opening match. So after an exciting opener, this was going to be the downer, and it actually showed. Uh, Colt, he had some pretty good comical moments going into this match. I guess because he kind of knew that this was going to be the downer. The second matches are usually often the downers. But I guess he tried to make the most out of it by showing some comical relief, but it was really not that great of a match. Didn't really show very much excitement going into it. But there was too many boring indie standoffs that was going throughout the match. Colt, obviously the bigger guy of the two, used his size to his advantage, and the mind games with the referee Bryce Remsburg kind of came off as pretty funny moments, but nothing really that special. Colt hits the Billy Gunn's curse and the boom elbow for the win. Overall, weakest match of the night by far. 4 out of 10. Colt, I guess what gave some extra points was that Colt, he added some humor to the match, but really nothing much, but just a lot of chain wrestling. That's why I think TJ Perkins is overrated. Sure, he had a good, interesting storyline that's going on between him and Brian Kendrick, but it really does not have that much appeal because TJ Perkins, who I know can do a lot better than just submissions. I love to see him exhibit some more flippy floppy stuff that the high flying dynamics of the cruiserweight are can do. It seems like the bigger guys seem to be doing the more high flying stuff, and yet the smaller guys seem to be just limited to just submission holds. Which it could work to some extent, but I want to see more Rey Mysterio type matches than Dean Malenko if the cruiserweight division is to improve. Next up, we have a ladies tag team match, and we have Awesome Kong teaming up with Daisy Hayes, taking on Serena Deeb and Sarah Del Rey. Awesome Kong, she never, ever puts me down in any way. She is awesome as she always is. She is just such an impressively incredible athlete. I would love to see her come to the WWE. My dream match, Awesome Kong versus Nia Jax. It would be definitely a battle between two incredibly talented super heavyweight ladies battling it out. It would be like two giantesses fighting each other in the ring. It would be impressive. Sure, I've always been impressed with Awesome Kong. However, though, I wasn't really too impressed with Daisy Hayes. I mean, she looks pretty out of shape here. I mean, come on. Could somebody give her a sandwich, maybe? Serena Deeb got some CM Punk chants because if you remember, she was the bald chick who got her head shaved and became a member of CM Punk's Straight Edge Society. Remember that? I know maybe we don't want to remember Serena too much for that. I mean, she is an incredibly gifted athletic lady. But during her time in the WWE, she she was the woman who got her head shaved, became a member of the Straight Edge Society. Um, there was, of course, CM Punk. There was Luke Gallows, or he was, I guess, back then known as Doc Gallows, and a former member of M&M, Joey Mercury. They were all part of probably one of the more forgettable factions going. CM Punk Straight Edge Society. Everybody except CM Punk got a haircut to make themselves look bald. Serena Deeb, she got some CM Punk chants. Sarah Del Rey, she's always been impressive. She also seems to be quite capable of taking on and defeating male wrestlers too. So she is also just as she is an impressively talented competitor. I was hoping this would be a great match to get underway. There was some crowd anticipation. They really seemed to be quite into it. Um, okay, Kong is really shows the meaning that she is a genuine badass. Del Rey and Hayes, they begin and they do their usual stuff. Sarah Del Rey tags Serena in, uh, being serenaded with CM Punk chants. Del Rey takes takes care of Kong. Kong comes in and applies an implant buster. Sarah Del Rey kicks out. Kong drops a leg on Serena's bosoms. Serena kicks out. A royal butterfly by Sarah Del Rey. A near pinfall by Hayes, and then Sarah Del Rey does a pile driver on Hayes for the victory win. Uh, Not a bad match, not a great match. 5.5 out of 10. Hayes' heat segment was kind of a bit of a downer. A good match, nice crowd reactions. Kong got some good chants. Hayes was just pretty awful here. That's kind of was the real Debbie Downer here. And she botched quite a lot, which is why I couldn't give it a 6 or a 6.5 out of 10. She botched a lot of her moves, and that kind of what brought this match down. Next up, we have Eddie Edwards going one-on-one with Sanjay Dutt. Eddie is, of course, working off injuries, which is why he adopted the nickname Die Hard. Eddie Edwards, he's a fantastic wrestler if you watch TNA. Of course, he's one of the big mega stars on the TNA roster. Sanjay Dutt, always an impressively incredible athlete, known for his incredible high flying skills. Um, okay, of course, Sanjay replaced an injured Kenny Omega. So, as being a replacement, he really tried to do everything he can to be a legitimate replacement, and I got to give praise to Sanjay Dutt for doing such thing at such incredible short notice. So I give a praise to that. Sanjay, of course, kind of looks weird with his tape stripped on his back. Okay, Sanjay tries to sneak up on Eddie, but that kind of backfired. Sanjay nails an awesome Hurricane Rana, and then Eddie avoids a camel clutch and goes for an Achilles lock instead. Sanjay goes for a springboard splash and a shooting star for another 2 count, trading super kicks from both men. Eddie almost wins with a lariat. He ends with the 2K1 bomb for the victory win. For that, this match is a pretty good back and forth seesaw battle. 6.5 out of 10, I would probably give this one. Good match. Sanjay looks good here. And, he generates some nice heel heat. Even though this kind of had a lack of a story, which is kind of the reason why this match does not really get high praise. But, being a legitimate replacement for the injured Kenny Omega, Sanjay really makes the most out of it, gives it all. Eddie Edwards gives it all. Impressive fight, from both competitors. Uh, Even though the story felt impromptu, there was some good chemistry, some good energy from both competitors, and that's kind of like what really was what matters the most. Okay, next up we have here a one-on-one match between Christopher Daniels versus Homicide. Uh, Christopher Daniels at the time was the Ring of Honor's television championship, held the television championship. This was not a title match, as Homicide, he returned after a long absence, and he looked very disheveled here. The same could also be said for Christopher Daniels. Of course, they got better off. Some funny stuff when Daniels exploits AJ Styles for screwing a crackhead on TNA Impact. So that was a pretty funny promo. Um, an unknown Mike Bennett was at ringside, so many people were wondering who the hell was this guy that was at ringside. Nobody really knew because Mike Bennett was not exactly a very well known person at the time. Also, the commentary kind of fades out throughout the rest of the DVD, which I found to be very weird. I don't know. But then again, I will not let that deter what I saw in the ring. If the commentary is bad, then I really couldn't really give a shit. Anyhow, Christopher Daniels, he hits a springboard moonsault outside. Not really anything that great in this match. There was a lack of enthusiasm from both competitors. I mean, the only highlight that was in this match was in the corner Julius Smokes. Overall, pretty dull match at this point. Homicide goes for a suicide dive, and the match ends with Homicide hitting the Ace Crusher for the victory. Overall, 4.5 out of 10. Poor match where a 12-minute match felt much longer, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Neither man felt no electricity within them. Shame, really, because normally they're both pretty good, and the fans were just as bored as the match itself. So, overall, I can't give this one a high score. I have to give it a 4.5, unfortunately. But the rest of the match does tend to go a lot better. The last three matches were fucking awesome. And let me go on with them. Matchup number 6. This one gets a 7 out of 10. We have a 6-man tag team match. This is Chris Hero. Of course, he wrestled in the WWE. In the WWE promotion as Cassius Ono. We have Claudio Castagnoli, who everybody now knows as Antonio Cesaro, but now he just goes by the name Cesaro only. And Shane Hagedorn taking on Jay, Mark, and Papa Briscoe in an incredible 6-man tag team match. This definitely was a brutal, long feud between this rivalry that has been often left with extreme violent results. Papa Briscoe, this was pretty cool that he was at it here in his debut here. It would be a shame that Hagedorn would retire, and from then on, and Hero and Castagnoli, like I mentioned before, Hero wrestled in the NXT brand as Cassius Ono. Castagnoli is now, of course, Cesaro. He's doing quite well now in the WWE. He's now, of course, part of the Raw brand, Raw Extended brand, tag team champions with Sheamus. So, there's a good camaraderie there, even though they're kind of like a team that doesn't really like each other, but it actually kind of like defies the old cliche that just because they're tag team champions doesn't necessarily mean they get along. I mean, hey, let's face it, Daniel Bryan and Kane did not get along very well when they were tag teams. Want to talk about other tag teams that were just didn't get along very well. Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin were temporarily tag team champions and didn't get along very well. Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin, heck, at 1 minute, a year before they were trying to kill each other, and the next thing you know, they end up becoming tag team title holders themselves. So it just goes to show you that just because you're a tag team and just because you're a partner doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get along. And, it goes to show you not every tag team has to be cohesive. And Cesaro and Sheamus are truly proving that point. Okay, the Briscoes. They get badly booed here. Uh, Poor start at first, but eventually the match does pick up. Hero tags Hagedorn, who accidentally chops Hero. Claudio accidentally chops um, Hero. Hagedorn meets Papa Briscoe and applies a spinning head scissors on Claudio. Funny part is when he kisses Sarah Del Rey. Sarah Del Rey, for some strange reason, gets gets told to leave. Jay gets tagged and gets on with business, only to be treated with a big boot by Hero. Papa starts brawling with Hagedorn. Papa tries to fly, but gets a taste of a roaring elbow. Papa gives Claudio a stunner, and he sells it perfectly. Then a Doomsday Device on Hagedorn, and it wins the match at 16 minutes long. Definitely a 7 out of 10. What an incredible 6-man tag team match. Definitely a great fight between the long-going battle between the Briscoes and the team of Chris Hero, Claudio Castagnoli, and Shane Hagedorn. Definitely the Briscoes really show that they are just one of the great elite tag teams in the Ring of Honor roster. They're always just so fun to watch. All right, and now we've come down to the last two matches of the night. And for me, these two matches could probably be good for a second viewing, but I think I'll probably just go the long distance because these last two matches are just so incredible. I just don't want to stop. So away we go. We got I guess you could call this a double main event here. Okay, for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship is on the line. The only title belt that was on the line in this card. We have Roderick Strong taking on Davey Richards. Roderick Strong, of course, won the title from Tyler Black about a few months ago. Of course, everybody knows Tyler Black as WWE Mega Superstar Seth Rollins. Richards, he was supposed to return from wrestling, but he was supposed to actually retire from wrestling, but a divorce from his wife and a few other financial problems within him changed his mind, so he decided to come back and wrestle, and I don't think he's ever looked back since then. Okay, most people wanted Richards to win here, being the only title defended here tonight. But still, these guys fought an incredible fight. Strong, he takes control early, and Roddy fish hooks Davey. It's very well placed. Then Davey drops a sweet plancha that lands him in the third row. Davey goes on the offense while in the ring. He gets two on a swan dive, headbutt, and a cross arm breaker. Roddy applies the Falcon Arrow, and Roddy and Davey, they exchange chops. and kicks, and an incredible lariat applied by Davey. And after a 2 count, Roddy kicks out. Outside, Strong slams Davey through the timekeeper's table, and it's followed off with a Gibson driver, and then gets thrown into the crowd. You know, the crowd always likes to get excited when a wrestler gets thrown in there. Let's see. Then back inside the ring, they both fighters apply ankle locks and reversals. Davey then applies the cloverleaf, and then Roddy puts him into the lapel lock. But Richards reverses with a lariat and then an ankle lock. Strong hits the side kick, but Davey kicks out. Nice lion tamer by Strong, and after 31 minutes, Richards is out. Strong keeps the title. This match was an 8 out of 10. Awesome match. Lots of near falls within the match. What kept it from being a 9 was it could have been better had they tweaked the match a bit shorter, but it was still an incredible match. Strong shows he's a very talented performer, but it's Davey Richards who really stole the show, and he outshone everyone in this match. Everyone was behind Davey Richards. This match was quite slow at first, which is probably why he wasn't given a 9, but it was still fun to watch. And, you know, as the time went on, it got better and better. The fans were really into it. And after a while, Richards just did what he does best and what works to him. That's why he's kind of like a major player in the TNA roster. And, you know, he's just fun to watch, you know. Shows some incredible fight. You know, not every pay-per-view has to have a world title change. You know, sometimes I often am more for, wrestlers keeping titles for a substantial period of time. You know, it doesn't have to hot potato. You don't have to hot potato the title like, oh, I'll have it for 2 or 3 months, and then my opponent will have it for 2 or 3 months, and then somebody else will have it for 2 or 3 months. No, if you want to keep a title for a substantial period of time, the more power to them. So, I'm not complaining. And now we come to the main event. We have a fight without honor match with some more added stipulations. This was between El Generico, who many of course know in the WWE as Sami Zayn, versus Kevin Steen, who of course is in the WWE. He's the WWE Universal Champion, who goes now by the name Kevin Owens. And like I said, this is a fight without honor match, but some added stipulations. If Kevin Steen wins, El Generico must remove his mask. For if El Generico wins, Kevin Steen must leave Ring of Honor. Now, in this kind of match, a fight without honor, there is no disqualifications. There are no countouts. Weapons are going to be surrounding the ring. And it's pretty much a brawl for all type of thing. This feud between El Generico, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Steen / Kevin Owens is without a question in mind in the 2K10 era. This is probably what you would call the definitive feud of the decade. They've did it in the Independents. They've did it in Ring of Honor. They've done it all over. They still continued this bitter rivalry when they were on the NXT brand. They came up to the WWE. They fought an excellent classic fight this year at Battleground. But their battle at Battleground pales in comparison to this fucking onslaught of a fight that really made my head dizzy just by seeing that these guys look like they didn't have their mind set on just fighting. They looked like they had their mind set on destroying one another. Never mind one of them, just getting the victory win and then getting the hell out of Ring of Honor, or one of them getting the victory and having their mask removed. No, they look like they had their minds set on just ending each other's careers. I mean, this match was crazy, but it was a good kind of crazy. This was an excellent chapter in the feud between these two superstars, and what a fucking performance they had. This definitely exceeds what they did at 2016 Battleground, and it still gives me chills at what these two did to each other. Uh, First of all, they start spitting at one another, and then Generico looks looks in a tope. Generico, he then wraps Steen's face and applies the Yakuza kick. Steen then power bombs El Generico on the ring apron, and Generico, he fucking sold that one out. Steen then frog splashes on Generico on the guardrail. Steen then eventually backdrops Generico on a ladder, and that was followed by a cannonball on the chair. Steen nails a code breaker with a chair on Generico that busts him up. Then you had this fucking sick moment when Steen makes like a chicken and licks the blood off of Generico. I mean, come on, is this Kevin Steen, or is this become a Canadianized version of Abdullah the Butcher? Ugh, sick thing. Come on. I mean, okay, you want to beat your opponent, sure. You want to use violence and stuff like that, okay. But don't lick the blood off of someone. That's gross. You could get a disease doing that. Let's see. Then Generico does a Michinoku driver on the ladder. Money in the Bank, anyone? And then follows that with an explosive maneuver, and then abuses the ladder with a half Nelson suplex. Steen kicks out. Steen then takes the ladder and places it on top of it, and has a table placed on top of it. Generico goes for a tornado DDT. Generico gets a 2 count after a half Nelson suplex through a chair, and then applies the blockbuster. Then Generico throws Steen through the table set up with the ladder, followed by a sweet brain buster on the apron. Then all of a sudden, Steve Corino tries to intervene. Todd Sinclair confronts Corino, only to be fisted for his efforts. Then Colt Cabana starts playing mind games into thinking that he was going to turn heel. But then he only to hit Steen with a chair. Steen kicks out, and then comes a package pile driver on Generico after the ref takes over. 2 count. Generico gets out of the near fall by a package pile driver on the chair. Generico nails the turnbuckle brainbuster. Steen eventually kicks out. Steen uses the same chair that started the insanity and hits Steen. Steen takes out Generico's mask from their fight at Glory by Honor that he removed. Generico then whacks Steen with a chair, and eventually he gets the win. What can I say about this match? 9.5 out of 10. This was an excellent, excellent fight. These guys practically almost killed each other. And it just shows just how dangerous both men are towards one another. If I was to give a negative thing about this match, from being a 5-star fight or a 10-star, was Steen's long control midway. But there was still lots of good psychology from both men in one of the best feuds that we have seen in such a long, long time. Overall, I give this pay-per-view, Ring of Honor's Final Battle, an 8.5 out of 10. Not the best show, but it definitely had something for everyone. It was a great event. What did you guys think about that? If you wish, leave a comment. Go right ahead. Uh, you want to subscribe to my channel? Please feel free to do so. Just remember, be kind, be courteous, don't be rude, and I will be back again with another review. Maybe I'll do something else that's different. This is my first time I've ever actually did a wrestling review, and maybe hopefully I'll probably do more. I probably won't go as long as 40 minutes, but even if I do, so be it. Hey, it's my channel. I can do whatever I like. But until next time, this is Eric Ryder saying, keep watching those matches, keep watching those pay-per-views, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.